Developing right now, first responders and a patient among those injured when a wrong-way driver slams into an ambulance. More new details in the dangerous drive on the Mass Pike.
And one person killed in a house fire in Douglas. White firefighters say the flames were difficult to put out.
Losing a legend, how the Celtics and basketball world are honoring Celtics great Tommy Heinsohn.
And field hospitals now on standby in the Bay State as coronavirus cases continue to surge.
This is 7 News Today in New England.
8 o'clock now this morning, starting you off with a live look outside. Really a beautiful look this morning. The sun is starting to shine. You'll feel that humidity when you step out the door, though. Thanks for starting your day with us. I'm Amanda Crawford.
And I'm Juliana Mazza. It is Veterans Day, so of course, just off the top, want to thank all the veterans who work so hard to keep us safe. Now I want to get a check on that forecast. Amanda was just talking about how, Chris, when you feel the heat when you step outside.
I know. It feels like September 11th, not November 11th outside in terms of the average high temperature for early to mid-September with us here in mid-November. 63 degrees here in the city of Boston, already 65 in Norwood, 64 in Bedford. The wind is out of the southwest, about 10 to 18 miles an hour. That breeze continues to pick up the pace. We're going to see some gust close to 30 miles an hour as we head into the afternoon. So it's a windy day. Strongest gusts down through southeastern Massachusetts with a few gusts near 40 miles an hour. And there are the rain showers west of us. Now, most of those rain showers hold off until after sunset, so I do expect a mainly dry day, although we increase the clouds, we increase the humidity, we increase the wind throughout the day. Rain moving in overnight tonight, showers dropping the temperatures by tomorrow. We'll actually have high temperatures tomorrow in the morning in the 60s. Fade back into the 50s in the afternoon. But before we get there, record-breaking warmth today, 73 in Boston would be good enough to break the record of 69 degrees, guys.
All right, Chris, thanks. Time now for Fast Track Traffic. Here's Paula Spenny.
Good morning. We are still seeing some residual delays on the expressway as you do head southbound this morning, right by Savin Hill. That's where we did have an earlier crash. That has since cleared, but take a look at these delays. At this point, about 2 or 3 miles, and that's actually heading in both directions this morning. Another thing to mention in Brookline, seeing a crash on Route 9 westbound right at Hammond Pond Parkway. Again, might notice a little bit of a stop-and-go situation there. Couple things to mention north of us, too. We are seeing a crash on 128 heading southbound this morning on Wynn Street, and another crash, this at Woburn on 128 northbound right at 38. Just be prepared for a stop-and-go situation there as well.
Developing this morning, several people hurt, including 2 first responders, when a driver on the wrong side of the road slams into an ambulance transporting a patient at the time. 7's Brandon Gano has been live on the Mass Pike in Natick with the details all morning. Brandon, what do we know right now?
Well, right now, let's start off with crews have cleaned up the accident, and as you can see, the Mass Pike is back open this morning, but that was certainly not the case early this morning when state police say the driver of this car was going the wrong way on the pike and crashed head-on into an ambulance. Now, the ambulance was carrying a patient along with 2 first responders. They received minor injuries as well as possibly the patient. The wrong way driver, we know, suffered serious injuries and is in critical condition. Now, investigators say a state trooper actually saw the driver going the wrong way on the Mass Pike and that he was speeding and weaving in and out of traffic in Newton. So that was before he crashed head-on into the ambulance here on the eastbound side by the Natick rest stop. So the driver did make it some way, but as soon as we learn more information about this investigation, we'll pass it along to you. That's Place Live in Natick this morning. I'm Brandon Gano, 7 News, Today in New England.
And new this morning, a house fire turning deadly in Douglas. Flames shooting out of the roof of that home. You can see him here. Let's head out live to 7's Carrie Corrado. Carrie, firefighters are saying they had some trouble getting to those flames.
They did, because if we zoom off into the distance, you can see this house is in an extremely wooded area. It was hard to see all morning, but we're finally able to get a look at the damage. The fire chief did say there's a lot of brush in the front and the back of the house, so it was difficult to fight this fire. We could see massive flames coming from the house. There was also a lot of smoke, so overall, one stubborn fire. We spoke with a neighbor who says she heard crackling and then called 911. This all happened on Glen Street in Douglas last night. Again, firefighters did confirm one person was killed. No firefighters were injured. But again, if we bring you back out here live, a police officer is guarding the driveway here to this house, but the house is taped off. A lot of damage. Investigators did arrive back to the scene this morning, but no word on how this fire started. We're live in Douglas this morning. Carrie Corrado, 7 News, Today, New England.
And new this morning, a person seriously hurt after being hit by a car in Linfield. Police say that person was trying to stop traffic on Main Street last night when they got hit. Investigators tell us the driver stayed at the scene and no charges have been filed.
Coronavirus hospitalizations reaching a new high. More than 60,000 people are currently in the hospital across the U.S. That is the highest recorded amount since the pandemic began. And cases are skyrocketing, and that's including right here at home. Massachusetts reporting more than 2,000 new cases once again yesterday. The increasing numbers prompting state leaders to take pandemic precautions to make sure that hospitals are actually equipped to handle the possibility of an influx of patients. With more on this, we want to head out live to 7's John Coco to break it all down for us. John.
Well, state leaders say they're ready for another surge in COVID-19, and that's why they're preparing field hospitals like this one here at the Convention Center. Since Labor Day, COVID-19 cases in Massachusetts have tripled and hospitalizations have doubled. So the state says it's planning to reopen field hospitals if need be.
I know there are concerns about increased hospitalizations, but we are prepared.
Last spring, field hospitals in Boston and Worcester were barely used, but now they're on standby. This comes as Massachusetts reported more than 2,000 cases Tuesday, and now officials are working to add 400 ICU beds to the state's capacity.
We used the time to gather additional equipment, medications, supplies, develop new protocols and practices to enhance the care for patients.
Pfizer says it's developed a vaccine that's 90% effective. It'll be up to the state to determine who gets the shots here once they're approved. They say that depends in part on how many doses Massachusetts gets.
We have advocated that the allocation of vaccines should be on a straight state per capita basis and have not heard, it goes back to what the governor said, there's been no communication since the election about what are the next steps in vaccines.
However, the state is getting advice from experts as to which people will get the vaccine first.
Healthcare providers are definitely at the top of the list. Obviously, those individuals who are older with compromised immune systems, and certainly older adults in long-term care are part of the priority groups. It really depends on the allocation that we get from the federal government.
So we should know more details about the winter plan to tackle the surge today. We're live in the Seaport. John Coco, 7 News, Today, New England.
Well, there will be a celebration to change how you ring in the new year. The city says its annual First Night Boston event is going virtual this year. The New Year's Eve celebration will be shown on TV and online as people around New England welcome in 2021. Traditionally, the event featured a parade down Boylston Street. You saw the fireworks, confetti, art sculptures, music, and entertainment down in Copley Square. Stay with the news station for the latest in the coronavirus emergency. You can always get updates on air, online, and on the 7 News app.
Trouble with the transition of power. President Trump still not conceding and blocking President-elect Biden from receiving intelligence briefings traditionally shared with incoming presidents. The move drawing more criticism from leaders, including Massachusetts Republican Governor.
I'm dismayed to hear the baseless claims coming from the president.
Governor Charlie Baker upset with the president's claims of voter fraud after the election.
I can't think of a worse time to stall a transition than amid a deadly pandemic that the federal government continues to own primary responsibility for responding to.
Experts on presidential transitions echoing his criticism.
We're in the middle of 4 significant crises right now, the most important of which is a health crisis. And the sooner that the Biden team can start working with the federal agencies on a COVID vaccine, on the distribution of that vaccine, the sooner the better.
Since the race was called on Saturday, President-elect Joe Biden has ramped up his transition, forming a new government for when he takes office in January.
It's all going to come to fruition on January 20th. And between now and then, my hope and expectation is that the American people do know and do understand that there has been a transition.
The Trump administration has not given the Biden team the customary funding or access. President Trump continues to float unfounded allegations of widespread voter fraud. His campaign has launched several legal challenges in key states where Biden leads. And Tuesday, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo raised eyebrows when asked about working with Biden's transition team.
There will be a smooth transition to a second Trump administration. Right? We're ready. The world is watching.
The world is watching and appears to have moved on. Numerous foreign leaders congratulating the president-elect. Biden bluntly expressing his thoughts about Trump's refusal to concede.
I just think it's an embarrassment, quite frankly.
Now, Biden says despite the holdup from the Trump administration, his team is doing everything it can right now to be prepared to take office in January.
8:10 on your Wednesday. There's more news today. A legendary loss for the Celtics and the basketball world. Hall of Famer and longtime Celtics broadcaster Tommy Heinsohn has passed away. Amaka back here with more on the legacy that he leaves behind.
Well, Juliana, in his 6+ decades with the Celtics, Tommy Heinsohn saw it all, including 17 NBA titles as a player, coach, and broadcaster. And now Boston fans are remembering the Celtics icon after he passed away at the age of 86.
First of all, I want them to show up.
In a franchise filled with legends, Tommy Heinsohn's place in Celtics history ranks near the top. He won 8 titles as a player before moving to the bench, coaching the Celtics to 2 more championships.
He basically just excelled at everything that he did.
Heinsohn was drafted in 1956 and won Rookie of the Year, beating out Bill Russell for the honor. His former teammate tweeting, "We were rookies together and friends for life. In life, there are a limited number of true friends. Today, I lost one. R.I.P. Heine."
Get that hook shot down.
Brad Stevens offering his remembrance, tweeting, "Rest in peace, Tommy. You've meant so much to the 6 decades of Celtics fans that you shared the game with as a Hall of Famer in every facet. An incredible person, teammate, and mentor."
And it was the Tommy Award.
Oh, the Tommy points was a point you would get from Tommy Heinsohn on a tremendous hustle call. And I don't think anyone ever got 3, but if you got 1, that was excellent.
After coaching, Heinsohn transitioned to calling Celtics games and was never shy on sharing his opinion.
Yeah, he was talking to you. Walk away. You ruined the game.
He was the lifeblood of the Celtics, and whether it was as an announcer, as a coach, or as a player, you know, he truly bled green.
So Heinsohn worked right up through last season calling games for the Celtics. Fans say it will be difficult not hearing his voice during games moving forward. In the newsroom, Amaka Ubaka, 7 News Today in New England.
Happening on this Veterans Day, a protest of the MBTA is planned on behalf of local veterans. Lawmakers leading the Save Our Trolley rally. They're fighting against the T's proposed cut to the Green Line's E branch. It would eliminate service to the front of Boston's VA hospital. Also happening today, the state's annual Veterans Day celebration will be virtual. The event will be broadcast over a live stream. It'll feature musical performances and speakers from all across the state. Governor Baker will give a statement and pay tribute to our military members.
It's 8:13. Still to come on Today in New England this Wednesday. A family's van literally gets swallowed up when a massive sinkhole opens up underneath it.
And make sure you get outside and soak up that warmth today because rain will soon have you running back in.
And could chili peppers help you live longer? What researchers just uncovered about the spicy treats. We'll be right back.